We got a special guest in the house today. We got Frankie from Piedmont Custom.
Hello.
Piedmont Custom Fab over here in, where are you at in Georgia?
Monroe.
Monroe. What are you doing? Are you playing with my stuff? Oh, well, we got Ryan's mic up too. We have found all kind of fun stuff to do on
this thing. We can make our voices sound really funny. Oh my gosh. Turn that off. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, it was fun.
It's fun, but we'll have to do a whole episode like that.
Dude, I don't know if anybody would
See
listen.
how long you guys can handle it.
I couldn't handle it very long.
No.
All right, Frankie, tell us your whole life story. We're going to hear it. We got an hour. Go.
Where do you want me to start?
From the beginning.
From the beginning.
When did you start doing builds? Because you were kind of the first guy around here in Georgia to start doing them for all these local guys.
Yeah, it's been, 2014-ish, 2013. I started messing around with it. I was back then fishing some of these local tournaments and stuff, and I just was a welder fabricator. Took it into my own interest to build the boat out of wood like everybody else started out doing. And then I took it to the next level, tore all the wood out, and went with aluminum framing to try to lighten up the whole deck and everything like that. Then I turned around and started getting into the aluminum decking, but could not figure out how I wanted to build any of my hatch lids and anything like that, just making it out of 090 and not being able to have any bent corners or anything like that. It was just a trial and error and a whole process I went through probably for about a year or so, and finally kind of learned how to do that. It was a long process to get into doing that, and it took twice as long. And then I got into doing my boat. Then it started out with another buddy, then another buddy's buddy, and it just kind of progressed that way, doing it for friends and doing it for their friends. And then I got into pretty much doing it part-time, I guess you would say. And then now it has turned into a full-time adventure for me.
Full-time Frankie.
Full-time Frankie. I like that. You need to get that on a shirt.
Yeah, I should.
So you had some previous experience welding and fabricating and stuff?
Yeah, I've been welding since probably 99, 2000, if not earlier. Started in high school, learning how to stick weld and MIG weld, and then it turned into doing some aluminum stuff and progressed from there.
What welder setups are you running now?
Right now I'm running two Eastwoods. I got a TIG 2000 and the MIG 175.
Do you like that TIG?
The TIG is simple, easy. It's not as advanced as some of the other ones. I don't have all the pulse settings and all that stuff, but it does the job and gets me by for now until I can cluster up a bunch of money and pay the 10 grand for the special welder and all that stuff. But no, it does. It works. It gets me by, and it makes a pretty weld as long as I don't have a bunch of. Yep, I got to do my part to make it look good.
Well, I mean, on the business side of this, even us, we have a nice TIG, and I don't get to use it as much as I'd like to because we're always in such a rush to get stuff out the door. So it's just faster to MIG stuff sometimes, unless I'm making little small parts or, like on top part of a boat where I want the welds to look pretty. Everything else gets MIG just because it's fast.
It's faster. It is. I use my spool gun quite a bit, and my two machines, I can have the spool gun hooked up and be using it, but immediately unplug and plug in and just switch my gas valve over.
Yep.
And I'm right there tigging if I have to, but I stick to framing and doing all the stuff that we do on the inside of the boats pretty much with a spool gun.
Yeah.
And that's all in adjustment and getting that all lined up, and that took a while to get everything figured out, but I've gotten that figured out to a real good purpose for my liking on my machine. And every machine is different.
Yeah, they really are. They're all a big learning curve. Hey, you got, just kind of off topic, but you have a splitter between your argon tank and your two machines, or do you unplug?
I unplug one hose and go into the other machine.
I've been meaning to, and every time I go to the welding store, I forget to get like a little Y splitter.
The Y splitter or the double.
And getting a second, flow
double
meter.
Yep, the double
flow meter
actuate.
Yeah, I want to do that because I get tired of, you'd be MIGging in there, spool gun welding for a couple days, and then all of a sudden you want to switch over to TIG. And I gotta go find my wrench, and I gotta undo the gas port.
Yeah, it can get aggravating, but at the same sense too, if you keep your machine, I got mine on 2 different carts, so I may have one pulled over to one side and got the other one on the other side where I'm fabbing up doing some stuff.
Yeah.
Then I've got to go over there and make all those
We
adjustments.
put all our stuff on one cart. I got a really good deal on that big welding cart from Harbor Freight. The thing's actually really nice for how cheap it is.
There is some nice stuff coming out of Harbor Freight.
Sometimes. It's not the cheap one. It's the Vulcan.
The Vulcan.
The nice one.
Yeah, it holds.
I mean, it holds 2. What do we have? One. I think we got 100 and.
Oh, it's that big boy.
Yeah, we got the biggest tank that they sell. I think it's a 160, 175, something like that.
On the Oregon?
Yeah.
Yeah, the big bottle.
Yeah, I got 2 of those on that thing, and it handles it just
Handles
fine.
it fine, yeah.
So, and I keep one full, and then whenever the other one runs out, we go get it refilled.
Right.
So we've always got a second. So, what? So you started learning on steel, correct?
Yes, which is most what everybody learns on in the beginning.
Yeah.
Steel. I've never heard, besides somebody going into a trade school, that actually goes immediately straight into stainless or aluminum or something like that. Everybody normally starts out on mild steel.
Yeah. How was the learning curve going from steel to aluminum?
It was a little tough at first, but having the background of the mild steel stuff, it was a little bit easier knowing what to look at in a weld, knowing what to look at while you're welding. You know, you got people that say, well, what do you really look at? If you don't know what to look at, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to explain that to somebody, but with the background of welding on mild steel, it took a little time to get used to that, but probably not as long as somebody that wanted to jump straight into aluminum that has never really welded before.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big, I guess, help there is the mild steel background.
Yeah. I know for me, one of the hardest things was trying to have enough peripheral vision to watch the rest of what I was doing, because we weld a lot of thin stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And it warps really, really fast.
Yep.
And if you are not paying attention, you will turn something into a pretzel in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah.
So it takes, you got to be able to watch the puddle, move, make sure you're setting yourself on fire, and watch your part all at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Really, that goes for a lot of touch, too. If you have a glove or a TIG finger or something like that you are moving along the weld where you're welding, you can feel movement in the material.
Yeah.
You know, with the heat expansion and getting hotter and everything doing its stuff. So sometimes you can feel without even having to see, but visual is the biggest thing because you'll see it start gaps opening up and, you know, things like that. So
I think that's the hardest part about teaching people to weld these thin John boats that we work on is you can only do so much before you overheat the material.
Oh, yeah.
And then you start warping it so bad it's not even worth fooling with anymore.
No. No.
We'll
What about the
teach you one day.
case? Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm a little over here. I don't, you know, definitely the least experienced in welding. So,
But you did good though. We got the new MIG machine. You picked it right up and started welding some stuff.
I've tried.
You did all right.
The only way to learn is to try. And
Yeah.
the only way to learn is to actually just do it instead of somebody to tell you how to do it.
Yep.
You got to actually do
Yeah.
it and see it for yourself.
A lot of hours behind the hood.
Oh, without a doubt.
Lots of hours. So
What kind of boat do you have right now?
Like personally,
Yeah.
I have a 2001 Tracker 185 with a 90 horsepower outboard gas. I do not have any electric rig right now myself. I build them all day, so when I want to go fishing, I go fishing.
yeah.
But I enjoy it. Like I said, I used to do it back in the day when everybody was running trolling motors.
What was the old school tournaments like?
Old school tournaments, I would say, are more laid back, I guess you'd say. Not as it is competitive, I won't say that. Old school tournaments are a lot different than what they are now. And I haven't fished anything in a while other than the big stuff. I used to, Oconee, fishing berries, Bass Trail.
Well, like the
PFLs.
electric stuff.
On the electric
what was
side,
the field like back then? Was there a lot of competition? Was
you
it
still had some heavy hitters back then.
number of boats just as high?
No, number of boats were a little less.
Yeah.
I've been to several tournaments where you might only have at most 10 boats. and I've been to some where you might only have 4 or 5.
Right.
Now, looking at everything and all the clubs and trails that are out there now, you're seeing 20, 30, 40 boats
Per-
in some of
per trail.
Per trail.
Yeah.
It's getting big.
It's getting bigger. It's getting a lot bigger. And people are, I guess, that much more competitive now.
Right.
Because you got a lot of guys that have left big tournaments because of money, cost, and coming into the electric side, still have money and cost with everything because this stuff's getting
Welcome
expensive.
to lithium.
Yep.
Yep.
Getting expensive. But you do have a lot of guys that are doing both. Some only went and stayed with gas side, bigger tournaments, and then a lot of guys have came over to the electric side. You got a lot of good lakes around us here that we can fish and catch a good 20 to 22 pound bag.
Mm-hmm.
And some guys still can't even do
Some
that on a big
guys-
lake.
Yeah. And then some guys are doing it here consistently.
Consistent.
Week after week after week.
And that's getting familiar with the water,
Yeah.
familiar with what you fish.
Electronics, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh,
Same
yeah.
thing on big lake, just smaller, and you have an electric outboard.
Yep.
Now, when you started tournament fishing, it was all trolling motors.
Well, when I really started tournament fishing, I was fishing with my dad down in Florida. I fished a few tournaments down there before we actually moved to Georgia when I was 10. And I grew up fishing big tournaments with my dad. Lake Okeechobee, down in the Everglades, Sawgrass, Lake Kissimmee, Lake Toho, fishing all that stuff down in South Florida. But when we moved here, it was a learning curve for us as well because the first time we went to Lanier, I looked at my dad and I said, Dad, that can't be right. And he's like, what are you talking about? I said, it says 100 foot deep.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, nah, it's right. And I'm like, there's no way. I've never seen 100 foot deep water unless I was in the ocean.
Yeah.
You know, out off the beach, you know, several miles out, I could see 100 foot. Not in a lake, not down there, not down south. I mean, most I've seen 25 to maybe 30 foot deep. Here, when we started fishing at Lanier, 100 foot. I seen that on a graph. I've seen up to 120 foot.
Yeah.
That's deep water.
How deep was it up at that, what's that last tournament? At Blue Ridge or whatever? Wasn't it super deep up there?
No, I think it's pretty shallow for the most part.
Oh, it's not one of them big 100-footers
No,
or whatever?
I think you have like 40, 50, 60 foot depths in some areas, but to my knowledge, it's not extremely deep.
It's a clear lake, though, right?
Now, when I was in Montana,
Yeah.
they had those little lakes in between all the mountains, and they were saying that those are 400 feet deep.
But those were like old mines or something?
No, it's like glacier
Or no, that's
water. It's
where-
just
where Nate
lakes
lives.
in between. No, in Montana?
No, I'm talking about where they have the
Oh,
old mines.
no.
That's where
Those
Nate-
are strip mines. Where they
In
dredge them
Illinois.
for whatever they do. I guess I really don't know. I'm gonna sound like an idiot.
because it don't come from here.
No.
Yeah, no. But yeah, you know, like at Nate's,
Yeah.
you know, you're running 3 foot of water,
Yeah.
like 3 foot of water,
Yeah.
and that's your lake.
So I like it though. Real skinny.
Real skinny and shallow.
Real skinny water. That's what I like. So, what kind of fishing do you like to do now? You're not doing
I'm
the
still-
tournaments anymore?
Well, no. I haven't tournament fished in a while. I might go jump in a pot tournament or something like that with some friends or some buddies. But other than that, it's just fun fishing. But I actually got into crappie fishing about 5 years ago, and I've gotten real hardcore into that. I just enjoy it. It's fun. And I've got my boys involved with me doing that now too. So it's easy for them. It's not a bunch of just standing on the front deck throwing.
Yeah. A lot more active.
A lot more active, a lot more action, and I enjoy eating them.
Yeah, they are really good to eat. They are really good to eat. So, do you do any bass fishing anymore?
I still do, yes, time to time. You know, I'll get the call from my dad. We'll go fishing, or like I said, a pot tournament with a buddy. Hey, you want to go fishing with me tomorrow?
Yeah.
One of them things. Or hey, I got a tournament coming up next Saturday. My partner can't go. Can you fill in? Yeah, I'll go.
What's your favorite place to fish here in Georgia?
4.
Anything?
I wouldn't say I have a favorite place. I got a lot of places that I like to go, but I don't know. Hard to say. There's so many good places to fish.
There is. Yeah.
There is.
What so how many boats do you think you've built total over all the years?
over all the years, I'd say somewhere around 50 to 60.
50 to 60 boats. Is there one or two of those that stick out more than the others?
Well, definitely Troy's. Troy's
Yeah.
was the absolute biggest build that I've ever done.
Walk us into Troy's. What was that whole process like? Was that like the biggest boat you had done at the time? Was it, because it's an
Hold on.
18.
For anybody who does not know, Troy's boat is I think it still is the fastest.
It was
electric.
dubbed the
Yeah,
world's
dubbed
fastest.
the world's
fastest.
electric outboard. But it was an electric boat that you built for tournament fishing here in Georgia, and originally was running 27.5 miles an hour. And I think
We made it run 27 miles.
Yeah,
an
we
hour.
made it do that. But
I think
yes,
it was one of the first ones that had broke that like 25 mile an hour
Oh, yeah.
thing. We did a big video on it on YouTube, so it's on the Tiny Boat Nation channel if anybody's
No,
interested.
that one's on my Fire Ant channel.
yeah,
was
that's
on
on
your
your
Fire
Fire
channel?
Ant
That was
channel.
before all those other channels came out.
Yep.
Okay, so that's what they're talking about when they talk about Troy's boat. Go ahead.
That is absolutely the biggest build, most. I don't even know what you would say to that, but
Had to have been the highest
complex.
costed one, too.
Oh, without a doubt, that was the highest cost. Most complex build that I've done. Strategically figuring out how and what to do, especially with all the lithium batteries that are in it. Where we were putting them, how we were dispersing the weight. There's a big factor that comes into all that stuff when you're getting into several lithium batteries at 60, 70 pounds apiece to power something 96 volts.
Yeah.
You've got to seriously sit down and, me and Troy spent several days trying to figure out exactly how we were going to set that boat up and do what we wanted to do. Both of us with our background in electric fishing, going from trolling motors to this, we knew kind of concept of what we wanted, but it took some sit down time and actually figuring that out.
Now that one started its life it was a brand new Tracker Grizzly. It
Brand new, bought from Bass Pro.
was a 1860. 1860. It's a nice boat. Just the Grizzly Tracker 1860s.
They are. They're
it's a
very
good
nice
haul.
boats. The only thing that I will say I do not like about those boats is the foam in them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The
God,
foam
terrible.
is horrible, and I say that in the sense of with all the water drainage, they're all closed up by the foam. They just those holes with the little black plugs that you see all over the
Yep.
top of them. They just stick that gun in there and shoot it up and fill those cavities up. Well, when they did that, it has all the channels that run the ribs on the bottom of the boat
Yep.
run from front to back. And when they just stick that gun in there, it fills all that up.
Yep, and they don't care.
And they don't care.
They have to know they're doing it.
Oh, they
do.
know.
I mean,
yeah, they know.
Without
They
a
just
doubt,
don't
they
care.
know.
Now, what I do wonder that if they know or not is that Tracker has the stickiest foam I have ever seen in my life. Every Tracker that we have ever ripped apart, the foam sticks to the aluminum on the inside, and you have to pretty much grind it off.
That is the actual foam being wet still when it expands.
Mm-hmm.
It sticks to the floor or sticks to the panels or sticks
Yep.
to whatever. But
We've
that's
had
just
some
from
that
being
you can
wet.
you can cut big chunks of it out and just pull it. With the Trackers, it's like stuck
Oh, yeah.
all up inside the benches, and there's little pods in the back. You just can't get that crap out
No.
without
And
getting behind it with
No,
an
the
angle
G3s
grinder.
are pretty bad, too.
Yeah, the G3 is
They're
bad
all
too.
bad. And I say that they're all bad. They're all to that concept of could be better.
Oh yeah.
But they're not looking at it in the sense of what we're going to do to a boat when they're selling it to the that's not one of their
It
things
just
that they're
has to
looking
pass
at.
the
It
regs
has-
and go out the door and get to the store
That's
Yep.
it.
to be bought. That's it.
That's it.
Yep.
It's got to
And they don't anticipate idiots like us tearing them apart.
No.
They don't. They don't.
No, not at all.
Speaking of that, I never heard back from DNR.
Well, you're probably not going to.
Well, I mean, they were super
Dude,
nice on
you-
the phone, but nobody can tell me what the law says because I can't find it. I know what the manufacturer's regulations are, and I was able to find all those laws and it says how much foam is supposed to be in a boat. But there's nowhere in there that I can find that says that a boat for recreational fishing use in a lake is required to have the same amount of foam in it while you're operating it as it did the day that it was manufactured.
I don't think there is a law of that, is there?
And what I called DNR to ask them to find out is because we have a lot of people that are, that's a big argument for people. They
Right.
go, "Oh, you can't pull the foam out; it's illegal." And I'm like, under what law?
Yeah,
There's a law that says that the manufacturers have to put it in there,
correct.
but I can't find a law that says that anybody can give me a ticket for not having it in my boat. Now, do I think you should have it in your boat? Yeah, absolutely. Because if you swamp it, you're going to want to recover the boat, and that's the whole point of the foam.
Well, how are they going to know anyways?
Just get a big bilge pump.
I mean, if you think about it, they're going to have to tear the boat apart just to even figure out there's foam in it or not.
And that's the
Right.
thing is, how do you regulate it?
I think
That's probably why they don't have one, is because they can't regulate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the foam ordeal that we all deal with is for Ryan, like you just said, for DNR or for Coast Guard purposes to sell and get that plaque, sticker, whatever you want to call it, of the
To make it legal.
legal,
Yeah.
exactly, for them to be able to sell that boat to a to a customer, consumer, whatever, and I guess once you purchase and once you do, is it at your discretion what you want to take out and what you want to leave in?
Well, that's the thing is, I can't find
What was Troy's discretion?
it. Pull it out.
Take it all out.
Take it all out.
Every inch of it. And we literally took every inch. The only foam, I will say, and I can verify that, the only foam that we did not take out of that boat is in the very front where the skinny little hatch is that you get from the factory in the
Yeah.
front deck.
Yep.
There's a spot underneath that floor. That's the original tracker floor. And it goes from side to side, and it's probably about 2.5 foot long, but maybe only 2 inches thick.
Yeah.
Like right in the nose of the boat where that curve starts happening
Right.
right there. That's the only foam that's in Troy's boat.
Yep.
Now, take in mind, I have another one in the shop that I'm working on, another 1860. Customer requested all the foam come out of the boat.
I hate taking foam out.
I despise it, but it makes one for more room in the boat when you're doing a build, and it also I haven't physically weighed it yet, but we weighed Troy's. The one that I'm working on right now, I've got separated in bags of where it came from, and I'm going to individually weigh it.
Weigh 'em, yeah.
And it has decreased and evaporated a little bit, but it's still sealed up in the plastic bags, and I've weighed them individually. We're probably going to be somewhere around, I would say, 325 to probably close to 400 pounds
I don't doubt
Yep.
it. Not one
of
bit.
wet, just nasty foam that useless in a boat. It's it's on 2 guys. If you
Yeah.
really want to consider that, it's like carrying around 2 extra people.
It really is. And on those trackers, you can park them downhill like you're supposed to, pull the drain plug when you park it. It does not matter.
Yeah,
You get
that's
water in
not
that
good.
boat, it is going to soak it up.
Yeah, it can't go nowhere, especially when you have all those ribs underneath the boat covered up.
Yep.
You can't get it out. There is no, I don't care how high you put the nose of the boat in the air and keep the drain plug out of it and keep it covered up. It doesn't matter. Troy's was a brand new boat, came straight from Bass Pro.
Yeah.
And I literally started working on it 2 weeks after he purchased the boat.
Yeah.
And it was already, we took out,
What boat was it we took apart that had they had foam in the benches, but they put it inside of garbage bags? Was that a G3
No.
or was it a low? I think it was a low roughneck.
and they
If
put
I
it in
remember right.
garbage bags?
Yeah, so basically what they did
I
is
don't see Lowe doing that.
No.
it was one of the boats that we had in here in the shop. It was one that we've done in the last year. But anyways, what they had done is it looked like they had taken the bench seats before they riveted them in the boat and turned them upside down on the floor, put garbage bags in them, and filled the garbage bags full of expanding foam. And then sealed the garbage bag up, like kind of twist tied it at the end, and then put the bench in. Because when we ripped the bench out, I was like, what the heck is this? And it was a black garbage bag. And it was just it was a cheap, thin black garbage bag. But all the foam inside was dry.
Was it off the floor enough?
Yeah,
A
so they
raised
actually
bench seat?
capped the bottom of the bench. And when we cut the back of the bench open to put some storage in there, it was actually able to reuse that as like a false floor, basically.
Right.
It was pretty cool. But that was the first time I'd ever seen it in black garbage bags.
Yeah. Normally it's just sprayed in and nothing, no barrier, no nothing.
Straight aluminum
Straight
stuff.
aluminum.
I hate dealing with that crap.
What else stuck out in Troy's build?
Probably there's a lot. The amount of room that we gained in that boat and the amount of hatches that are in that boat I think there was 13 hatches in that boat.
Yeah.
And with 13 hatches in that boat, it was a lot of room to do more space for everything that he had. I mean, there's enough room in that boat. You couldn't, Troy could probably fill it up with tackle, but
He has, trust me. I've worked on it a couple times.
yeah, there's just a lot of room in that boat. It's a big boat, man. It's a barge. That's what I consider it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's at the max. And here's another thing, too, talking about these boats and electric reservoirs and stuff. Some of the reservoirs around here have a cap on the size boat that you can put on the water.
Really?
Yep.
Which one?
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I know Black Shoals is that you can't have anything larger than an 18-foot boat.
Really?
So Troy's is the biggest that you can put on that water. And most
I
guys,
didn't know they were doing that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
there's only a few of them. I'm not 100% sure which ones it are, but I know Black Shoals is one of them. They only allow a certain size boat on the water. Now, it could have changed. That was back in my previous tournament fishing years ago when I was doing the electric only stuff, but that could have changed. But I know there's several of them around.
So what all you got? You have a lot of boats going on in the shop right now. What you got going on?
I've got a couple things going on. I've got the other 1860 in there that's getting a full build.
Bass boat build.
Yep, going straight bass boat. Tournament, electric tournament fishing guy. I've got a 1436 Alumacraft I have to put a new transom in. The wood.
Done a couple of them.
Huh?
I've done a few of them.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The wood in the back of that boat literally looked like dust, sawdust. All crumbled. It didn't have no structural stability at all. So I took it all out. We're going to put an aluminum transom in it.
Cool.
And then I've got another, I don't know what brand model boat that is. It's a painted camouflage just like normal every other John boat. Going to do a little front deck and a rear deck in it and mount the trolling motor for the customer. Just, always doing something. Not long ago, put some pods on a boat. I do pretty much anything. I can build pods, weld pods on, do a little bit of everything over at the shop. So keeps me busy.
Trust me, we get it.
Yep.
We know.
We busy too.
Yeah.
We got one you can take home with you.
We got a couple you can take home with you.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Actually, I got one now that I got to pull in and start working on. I don't know who welded the pods on it originally, but it's cracked.
The pod is cracked or the weld?
welds are cracked all the way around the pods.
Ooh.
So I got to fix that. And then aluminum transom, taking out it's got those two little, I always call them pods. They're not the little, where you should have storage in the back of the boat where the transom is. Between the transom and the bench, there should be storage there, but there's not. I got to take those two out and put a 4 in.
Make more room for somebody.
Yep, make more room. And then I got a fiberglass center console.
Oh,
I
what are you
gotta
doing
install.
with a fiberglass boat?
Guy got a good deal on it, so he wants to put this fiberglass console in his aluminum boat. So I'm going to do it. Center console.
Hey, whatever works. If you get a
know.
deal on something, put it in there.
I don't know. Sorry, everybody, for the fan. I keep stopping because I hear the fan. It
Please.
is so hot in here.
Yeah, if you guys have made it this far in the podcast, we do need to apologize because that fan it's irritating me. I've almost stopped this podcast twice,
I know.
telling us that we just got sweated out. But
No, I'm
we
not
don't have
sweating
any
it out.
AC. We can't do it.
We will have AC next week, though.
Yeah, so
Hopefully.
don't worry
Fingers
about
crossed.
that.
Because it's warm in here.
It is a little warm in here.
We honestly
it's
should
toasty.
just set this all up over there.
We'll have AC next week, and we won't have to worry about this anymore because it is way too hot to be in here.
This is terrible.
So we got the fan blowing to keep us cool. Because if not, I think y'all would melt. Ain't bothering me, but
He was the first one that asked for the fan.
He was.
because I smell from just working in the warehouse all day.
All right, Frankie. Knowing everything you know from building all these boats for over all the years,
50 bajillion years.
describe to us the perfect boat for you. Right? If you could do any hole and you could do anything you wanted, no price tag, what would you do?
I would have to say a welded 1648, and I'm not too keen on or pushed to go to a certain model or brand of boat, but I would definitely say if I was going to build, let's say, my personal boat, I would go with a 1648, 1650, whatever. You know, some of these models are right there within a couple inches of each other on the bottom, but at least a 16-foot boat, 48 to, let's say, 52, somewhere around in there. But I'm not biased on which brand I want to go with.
Outboard.
I'm going to have to go with Elco.
Batteries. Actually, take it back a step. What size Elco?
I would do an Elco 30.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
would
What
do an
about the
Elco
battery setup?
Battery setup, I would definitely go lithium. I mean, that's a given.
Right.
But I don't know if we can go as far as this, but I've laid my eyes on that new one coming out. Should I say?
No.
There's some top secret stuff going on at TBNation with lithium batteries.
Next topic.
Next topic. Okay.
Next. Let's see. What else? How big would your live well tank
I
be?
really want the batteries that I can't talk about.
Yeah.
I would do ours on the website.
12 by 30.
The 12 by 30, 18 gallon. That's, you know, like I do in all my builds. I get all of my parts and most of my stuff from Nate. It's just as easy for Nate, you know, to get it from Nate as it is for me to sit there and build it, which is possible. But it takes up a lot of my time too when I can be framing a boat and getting all that stuff set up and start running wires, that I put that order in with Nate, get those lids delivered, and by the time I'm done doing what I'm doing, I just slap them in the boat.
Yeah.
Now, I do keep a stock of stuff at my shop, too, because I always get that one random customer that, hey, I want one lid this size.
Yeah.
You know, and it just sometimes is just as easy, and they want, you know, turnaround time. I know that has all goes up and down in a wave of, you know, our turnaround times getting with Nate and, you know, 5 to 6 weeks or 6 to 8 weeks or something like that I can build let's just say a 12 by 30 lid that fits in the live well. If I need one lid, it's just as quick I can make that. But if I'm trying to get 6 to 7 lids in a build, I'm going to order all those through Nate, because I can go ahead and start framing the boat, start doing all the electrical, start doing all the plumbing, start getting ready for that stuff. And then by the time I'm where I need to be, putting those boom, the lids show up.
Yeah.
And it's a done deal.
What about trolling motor?
I'd have to say on my personal bass tracker that I have right now, I have the Minn Kota Tarova.
You like it?
I like it. I do like it. But if I was going to use on my personal electric boat,
You don't have
With
any
your
budget.
unlimited budget.
unlimited budget, okay. Unlimited budget, I'm probably going to go with an Ultrex.
You pick an Ultrex over an Ultera?
Yes, 100%.
100%.
Why?
I'm asking you the same thing.
It's so cool.
No,
it deploys itself.
Who cares?
I do, because I'm
You're too lazy to pull a cord?
Yes, I'm
Yes,
too lazy
he
to pull a
is.
cord.
Come on, man.
That, and they did that awesome commercial where the dude like backs his boat in the water. He's just like, "Brr," and it just deploys and like goes out in the middle of the lake. And
they make
autopilot's right there in
ropes.
the middle. I know, but it was so cool. And then the two guys standing on the dock were like, "Oh my god, he just did that!"
There's a ghost running that boat.
That was the best commercial ever. I don't even need a
No.
trolling motor, and I was like, I want one.
They are nice, I will say. They stand a purpose for certain types of fishing.
Yeah, or I've seen a lot of guides with them.
Yes.
Because they can control it from the back.
From
they can
anywhere in the boat.
auto-deploy it. They're, they're
Yep.
loading and unloading the boat by themselves all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've seen handicapped people. That's becoming very handy for them.
Oh, without a
to
doubt.
being able to deploy it by themselves. So there's definitely uses and benefits to it, but dude, that Ultrex.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I love the Ultrex. Don't get me wrong; it's an awesome trolling motor. I just like that one little feature. You just go "Meh," and it just deploys itself.
Eh.
I know it's one more thing to break, but
Yeah.
it's so cool.
it just makes me nervous. That
What-
thing doesn't want to deploy that one time that you need it to.
Does it not have like a backup kind of deal?
Dude,
where
me and you have been out on the lake using them, standing on the dock with the boat in the water.
yeah, you almost lost a
And you
boat
almost
doing a
lose
drone
it.
shot one time.
You almost lose it.
But that one was a motor guide.
It don't matter which one it is.
I know, but they're still so cool.
Now, for instance, me as a crappie fishing with using mine, it comes in handy because when you're standing on that front deck and I got it in spot lock, the only thing that I have in my way is my graph.
Right.
Because I have live scope, I have all that stuff. But my live scope is on a single pole, isolated pole by itself.
So on your imaginary
Yep,
boat
your
that's yours,
imaginary.
what graphs you running and how many? And where are you placing them?
I'm gonna run Garmin. I've actually was a Lowrance guy for the longest time, and turned over or switched over, should I say, to Garmin. I like the mapping of Garmin. I like the quality of the Garmin when they do run the sale and all that stuff. The 93 SV. I mean, you could get that graph for $6.99, and it had basic mapping on all the lakes, U.S. maps. I
Right.
mean, it's hard to get that unless you are specifying yourself to, let's say like a Hummingbird and getting the chip, the
yeah,
Lake Master chip, or Lowrance and going with the Lake Master chip for it or something like that. But me doing what I do and crappie fishing like I fish, I really didn't need that. And for the price, I mean, who can beat $6.99 for a graph that you can do a lot of stuff with, down, side, and also capable to do live scope?
Yeah.
Because I started out with 2 9s, one on the console and then one at the bow. And I actually upgraded, was it last year? Yeah, I think last year, and got the 106. So I'm actually added the 106 to the top of the 93 SV for live scope itself. So I got a screen for that, but then I also run the mapping and my waypoints that are linked together from my other 93, and I can see where I'm at, with my waypoints and things like that, finding brush and whatnot. So having the 3 graphs makes a big difference of having to switch the screen like I used to have to do, and then wind up blowing off a brush pile or something like that if I don't spot lock in time. But on my imaginary boat that we're talking about, I would run Garmin, and I would probably run. I'm unlimited budget. I'm gonna run.
Absolutely.
I'm probably gonna run 2 12s up front, and in the back I would probably run a 10, a 106. I don't see the need in having all the other stuff that you see, all the other models, and I can't even name all the other models that Garmin has with the little knob and the little.
Yeah.
I can't get into. I mean, I could get into that, but I just
Well, the knob one is specifically for live scope, right? Or they?
I can't. I don't know if it
Yeah,
is
I'm just gonna
specific.
shut up.
I know it's more easily adjustable, I guess you would say, with the knob, but I can adjust on mine just as easy on my 106.
Touch, yeah.
You got your gain, you got your range, I guess you would say, and then your depth. I can adjust those just by standing there on the front of my boat.
I thought
now.
one of the differences is once you go up in models from the SV series, is they go completely touchscreen, and then you just got the knob to move everything around. It's
I
basically like
think
a cursor.
something like that, yeah.
But with the SV series, it's like you got both. You got a little bit of touchscreen,
A little bit of touch and a little bit of
buttons,
button,
too. Yeah. So I think it's the same way that like Humminbird has their setup. You got the
The
Helix,
Solix, yep.
and then the Solix, which is just 100% touchscreen.
Yep.
It's almost like having an iPad.
Yep.
And then the Apex above that. Which I think it's just better resolution and stuff,
And
faster computer.
Obviously, I mean, the more money you spend, the better quality you get.
Hopefully,
Hopefully.
Hopefully, if you can read it.
yeah,
Me and Ryan can't. Well,
If not, you'll
you got
look
some
really
practice
cool.
now.
yeah, a little bit.
Are you feeling better about it?
I would if I had a screen.
Well, yeah, you got a 7.
No, we don't have anything. No,
Oh, okay. We don't have anything.
we have
now.
live scope, no screen.
You have live scope and no screen.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's
that's
what
kinda
boat is that on?
The Weekend Warrior.
The Weekend
boat.
Warrior boat? That's what I thought.
Yep.
But
it's going to be the Weekend Warrior XL next year.
yes, sir. All right, we had a little power outage.
Luckily, the first half of it saved.
We have a new fan going now, so there's a new background sound.
Yeah,
but
instead of I can just hear. You're welcome.
well, all right, let's get back to this. I had asked Frankie, what in your imaginary boat that you can do anything with that you have any budget on, what decking material are you going to use? Carpet or foam? EVA foam.
I'm going with EVA foam. I've dealt with carpet. I don't want to deal with carpet anymore. If a customer requests it, I tried to steer away from it the best I can, but you still have some guys that want it.
Those old school guys love the carpet.
Now,
Yeah.
do you like carpet, or do you just hate carpet because of the install process?
Personally, I do not like carpet. I have carpet in my bass tracker now, and when I redo it, it is getting EVA foam. It's cooler to the touch. Looks better to me in the long run, years down the road, as long as it's stored correctly, the boat's stored correctly,
Yeah.
covered up, whatever you may say, to keep the sun from beating it to death. But even carpet fades, breaks down,
Yeah.
does all that stuff.
Wear spots.
Wear spots,
Yep.
you know.
Smells is one of my biggest things.
Yeah, dude, I hate the smell from used carpet in a boat. Ugh.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to worry about that because you'll never put no fish in your boat.
Oh,
so-
that's true. Just when I'm sweating my butt off on the lake all day and sweating all over the carpet.
You got that sweaty feet carpet
Yeah, I
smell?
got sweaty feet carpet smell.
On my boat, it's been a little over a year and a half. We're coming up on the 2-year mark since I put that foam in there, and it's been 100% outside. It has never been garage kept ever, and I'm looking forward to doing that 2-year review video to where, all right, this is what it looks like 2 years after being outside. Like it's never been
Like
inside,
outside,
ever.
outside.
outside, like not covered.
Oh, dude,
nothing.
it's in the back by the creek.
Yeah, it's probably covered in pine straw right now because I
Well,
hadn't
you're
used it
getting
all
some
summer.
coverage on it then.
Yeah, it's getting. A
It
little
has
bit
been
covered.
clean, though. I was out there scrubbing it
When did you clean
before
it?
the NOE show.
Oh yeah, that's right, because we did take it up there. But yeah, I got to clean it soon. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how much it faded. Or
Do you have a piece left over from when you originally put it in?
Yep, I sure do. It's been still in the box.
And
Actually, that where the cash register is in the store,
Right.
that top right there is a couple of leftover pieces from my boat, and the Amazon turf too. I use that for my bunks, and I want to see how it looks after 2 years of a boat sitting on it, because that was the only place I could find to use that Amazon turf that I had.
you didn't want to put it in the boat?
No, I couldn't get it to stick.
I've heard that before too.
I don't know, right? Well, and so I ended up using it on the bunks, but I had to coat the back of the turf in contact adhesive, and I had to do the bunk boards in contact adhesive, and then let the boat sit on top of it to keep it from...
To keep it smushed.
Yeah.
To
And-
make it cure, make it set up in that contact cement.
Now, it's been fine as far as since I got it stuck down there, but I mean, just as far as like the beauty of turf is peel and stick, and it wasn't.
And it was.
it
I've
was
heard
just
that
a
about the Amazon turf.
big waste of time. Now, I don't know if they're getting better because I've seen some mixed reviews. We actually have a local customer that came in here not too long ago, and they put Amazon turf in their boat, and it actually didn't look bad.
It looked actually pretty good.
Yeah, it didn't look bad at all. So maybe they're getting better.
I've seen several more companies out there trying to get into that market of doing.
They probably heard Mike blasting them on YouTube.
Oh, I'm sure.
Change the formula.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
I did. So I'm pretty sure I already know the answer to this, but would you go with cut yourself sheet turf or custom routed turf?
Custom routed turf.
What do you like? What do you
The
want to
sim-
put on this? What on your dream fantasy boat?
Like color?
Yeah,
Or
on your Barbie Kim boat.
Design, color,
I don't know. I haven't got that far yet.
3-layer, 2-layer.
7-layer.
Oh, we're not going that thick. I would
Ain't got that
probably
kind of
just do a
pockets.
2-layer. I don't see the need in having the 3. I don't need all the coloring and all the fancy of, it's not a, what do they call those things? Cigarette boats or whatever.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's not one of those. It's a boat that I use to fish out of. 2 colors good for me. Obviously something with a black background, so black on the bottom, and haven't decided on the color on the top yet. Something cool, something cooler, a lighter color. I just haven't made a full decision on that. And that's kind of what I'm waiting on, is to get my brain wrapped around what I really want to do, because I do this on a daily basis.
You see a lot of it, like
I
we
see
do.
a lot of it, and sometimes I don't even want to think about mine because I think about them all day when I'm working on them. So it's a process that I'm dealing with right now. I'm probably over the winter. I'm actually in the process right now of moving into a new shop.
Okay.
So
We're still going to be in Monroe.
still going to be in Monroe, but I'm going to be in a better building situation, I guess you would say. So where I'm at now has gotten me out of my garage where I started.
Yeah.
Pretty much where all of us have started.
Yep.
Just like they say, you start from the bottom. So getting into what I am in now has helped out big time, but I've quickly, when I went full time, grew out of that. So it makes it a little more complicated getting things in to work on things, playing magical boats, as I
Yeah.
call it. You know, it takes up time.
Boat Tetris.
Boat Tetris. Yeah, I mean, it takes up time when you're moving stuff around. You know, you waste an hour to 2 hours a day moving things around, getting situated to start working. And then at the end of the day, put them all back in there and get them all finagled back in there. And another hour to 2 hours. I mean, that's time I could be working, time wasted there. So where I'll be going, it'll be a full-blown open 40 by 60 that I'll be moving into.
Nice.
And get myself set up there. So as soon as I get in there over the winter, that's probably when I'm going to just tear my boat apart and do all crazy and go crazy and do what I need to do there.
That's what we said about Ryan's 2 years ago.
And it's still sitting out back.
Oh, dude, it's on the ground.
It's not even on the trailer.
no more.
We let a customer borrow the trailer.
Yeah.
We just yanked the whole hull off and threw it on the ground.
That poor boat.
We did at one time care enough to lean it up against the little lean-to out
Now
there.
it's just whatever.
Well, no,
the wind came and flipped it over,
okay.
and now it's full of water.
The wind was like, I don't think so. Just knocked it over. Filled it back up. Now I don't even know how we're going to get it off the ground.
Yeah.
All right, so now I'm curious, Ryan. What's your dream boat?
Oh, gosh, no.
We've never talked about this.
Yeah, we'll...
Is it a Fisher?
Well, I mean, I love my hull, for one.
How many times did you
I
build? Hold
agree-
on.
I
How
agree
many
with
times
you.
did you build the boat, though?
I've only built it once.
Ish.
Yeah.
No, it's been completely built once.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Well, you started it.
And then I've
again.
started it like 5 times. since
Yeah,
then.
Yeah.
that's what I was going to say. You've started on it 5 or 6 times, been completely built, but you've changed your mind, seen something different
Every
you
time
wanted to do.
that I feel like, one, we're getting close to that point.
Yeah.
Something else happens. Mm-hmm. And 2, I'm actually glad that I haven't done it yet, because my ideas of what I want to do with it have changed dramatically since the last time we planned on doing my boat.
Yeah.
We have access to a lot more things now.
Oh, yeah.
So,
And we've seen a lot of setups.
and and it's cool
Yeah.
because, obviously it's going to be an electric boat, whatever it is. And we've seen what works and we've seen what doesn't work.
Yep.
Oh, it's the learning curve. I mean,
So-
and that's the good thing about what we do, seeing day in and day out of looking at somebody's boat or building a boat for a customer and doing what we're doing, you kind of get a better idea of what you want to do in your boat.
The first time I built that boat, hatches everywhere. I wanted every
Now you want 2, maybe 3.
compartment to be a hatch. Now
Biggins.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out how to do it with no hatches. Legitimately.
Dude, all right, look, I don't want to blow any surprises or anything, but I still think we need to try to do that, like just lift up deck one time.
No.
On a boat. Dude, I think that would be so cool.
You talking about like the whole deck just lifts
The
up?
whole deck is just one giant lid on a hinge system where you can push a button and the whole thing
But
just goes,
that's the thing, is it wouldn't be able to be a lid. You would
can
have
make
to
it
put
happen.
the decking material on a hinge and still frame underneath and do it that way. Because imagine the weight of a hatch that big, because then you're doing basically your decking material will be 1/8 inch.
Not if you frame it.
Well, the underside of the door would have to be framed.
The lid is going to be that heavy, that big, that thick, for
can
that
make it
to
work.
span that much
Hold
of a
my beer.
distance.
I can do this.
Either way, I will agree with you on one thing. At least a 1648. Minimum.
Yours is a 1648.
Mine's a
isn't it? Okay.
1648. I think that is the perfect balance between length and stability in the width of the hull.
I agree 100%.
I don't know why, but your boat just feels wider.
Dude, it's because up at the nose, it doesn't curve in like the tractors.
Yeah.
It stays wide, and mine does this odd, very open-angled V in the front.
Yeah. It's a super aggressive.
I mean, you still
angle.
got almost, I think the width of my front is still almost like 40, 42 inches.
Yeah, the trackers come up to a point.
Correct.
Your boat comes up this way and then to a point.
And then everything pinches in. Like
yeah.
dramatically.
Yep.
Within a foot and a half.
to where everything else is sweeping from about a quarter of the way back. Everything starts sweeping
So my,
in on the rest
yeah,
of these
my
boats.
beam is the same width from the transom to 14 and a half feet forward.
Right.
You know, I have 14 and a half feet of the same width throughout the entire boat.
The whole boat, yeah, the whole boat all the
So
way.
that's what makes it nice.
Yeah.
And my hull is very thin. It's very thin
Yeah, it's a
aluminum.
thin
It's
hull.
not like
It's a riveted boat, right?
it's
Yep.
riveted.
Okay.
Yep.
I like the ribs in it though. It's got really thick, wide ribs that are easy to put a subfloor down on top of.
Right.
They're not
what are
rounded.
they, inch and a half,
They're
2
almost
inches?
2
2
inch,
inches.
because that 2-inch foam sits perfectly in there
Yep.
to the same
So they
height.
stand high 2 inches. That's
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Yep.
Yeah. No,
And
that makes
they're
it
2
nice.
inches wide. So it's like they took 2-inch tube and basically just like flared it out on the end and
Yep.
Right.
riveted it down. It's a very well built boat.
It
Well,
really
that's
is.
like even the 14-foot Weekend Warrior. The ribs in it are very narrow at the top.
And they're round.
Yeah.
and
which
they're rounded
sucks.
on some boats.
Yeah, you got to be pretty precise.
Pretty precise on putting your floor down.
Um,
And you only get, what, 3/4 of an inch maybe?
Yep.
yeah,
To maybe 7/8
Yep.
to put foam underneath the floor.
but I don't know. We'll see what it turns into.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's going to turn into something. We can't keep staring at it forever.
One day.
A pine straw bucket.
You know, you kind of reminded me of something, and I want to ask your opinion, Frankie. Do you think that over the years of being in the boat building business, that your approach with customers has changed when they walk in the door? So, like for an example, I know when we first started, if somebody come walking in the door and they're like, "I want to put a rod locker right here and I want a pedestal seat right here," back then I would have said, "Absolutely, let's make you happy." Now I'm like, "No, that ain't gonna work. You ain't gonna be happy with it. I ain't doing that."
Yeah, and I can say that myself too. Biggest reason is building boat after boat after boat after boat. It seems that I've learned so much about little stuff
Yep.
that you don't think about in the beginning. As a let's say a customer that's never built a boat before, obviously why he brought the boat to
Yeah.
either me or y'all to build the boat.
Right.
They don't know the concept of building it. And the simplicity of knowing what to do and what not to do, that's why they're paying us to build them.
Yeah.
So, yes, I have changed my approach on that to where a customer wants to talk about a layout, and I'm going to try to simplify it, one, for them that I know that they'll be close to what they're wanting to do, but make it to where I know that it's going to be more feasible and give them optimal space inside the boat for laying that boat out.
Yeah. And you're probably a lot nicer about it than I am.
Might be, maybe.
We get people in and like, "I want to do this." I'm like, "Nope, ain't doing it." Why not? Because I said so. You'll hate it.
And that's not a lie either.
No.
You will tell them.
Well, how many times have you had somebody walk in here and say, "This is what I want to do," and you kind of look at them like, "That's not going to work, bud."
I like hearing that list and then saying, okay, what's your budget?
Yeah, there you go. That is the key word.
$17 in this used shoelace. I got half a Snickers bar.
Yeah. And you're like, huh,
Yeah, that's not going to cut
okay.
it. Oh yeah, I've had them happen to me before, several times. Customer come in and want this vast list of, I want a rod locker, I want tackle storage, I want a live well, I want this, I want that storage for this, a day box here, a day box there, this store.
Yep.
And then you say, okay, yeah, I mean, we can do that. But again, there you hit them with that. What's your budget on this build? Let's go from there, and then we can adjust. Well, I was looking like, they kind of give you the runaround on that. It's like, just spit the number out so we can make an adjustment there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that comes into play big time when you're trying to figure out exactly what you're wanting to lay out of.
There's a difference between wants and needs.
There you go.
Yes.
And you need to figure out your needs.
Yes.
Yes.
And then, you know, what we all know is that there's certain stipulations to those needs, right? I need a recessed foot tray
Yeah.
and I need a seat base. Okay, well, there's 40 inches right there of your front deck.
Exactly.
You're not doing anything with. But they don't they don't
can't
know that.
They can't visually see that until you start
Right.
explaining things like that to them.
Yep.
Yep. And then you got me. It tells them no. I'm a dream crusher. But I just don't want people to be unhappy with their boats, because when we've built enough of them and we've messed around with enough of them on our own, we kind of figured out what, sounded like a great idea at the time, and the customer either did it themselves or we did it for them, and they come back and they didn't like it, or it didn't work, or it wasn't functional.
Yeah. Have you had to change anything before?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's happened to me a bunch
Absolutely.
of times myself. Come
Yeah.
back in and say, well, this didn't work the exact way I wanted it. And I was like, I tried it. And then the customer say, you did try to tell me.
Yeah.
But it's
It's all right. It's
nature of the beast.
yeah.
I mean, it is what it is at that
Part
point
of
in
it
time.
is the boat side. Part of it's just custom work in general. I'm sure anybody that builds any boat, car, motorcycle, for anybody that's custom, deals with the same.
Oh, without a doubt,
thing,
yeah.
so-
Anything custom is going to be crazy.
What's your least favorite mod that you get requested to do?
Least favorite mod.
Yeah, you get a customer come in there like, I want to do this. And you're like,
Or you just
I hate
like,
doing that.
every time your phone goes off, you're like, I hope this isn't somebody that wants me to do this.
I don't know, to be honest. I've done I think I've done almost everything that you could do to a boat.
I'll tell you what mine is.
Okay, let's go from there and then I'll see.
I've really started to hate trailers and trailer work.
I don't mind.
Painting them, pain in the butt.
Yeah, that is.
Redoing the axle, we always have some type of issue with,
Yeah,
with
it's always an
bearings
axle
or something.
problem.
It's always something, just because there's not much to the trailer. You think it'd be easy and fine.
I've actually rebuilt a couple trailers myself, and I don't mind doing it. And I guess that's maybe my steel background in welding,
Right.
fabrication, kind of knowing what's going on with that. It doesn't bother me. I would probably have to say somebody that if somebody called me on the phone and said, I need some work done on my boat, can I bring it by so you can look at it? And they kind of explain to me, hinting around to what's going on, and they get there and it's a lot of loose or no rivets, that the rivets are
Oh, yeah.
leaking. I'm a big advocate that I do not like rebucking rivets.
Yeah.
I just, or even replacing rivets, drilling them out, having to redo them. It's not the funnest thing in the world because some of the rivets you can't get to.
Yep.
That's true.
Mine is
You know.
live wells.
You don't like live wells?
I hate live wells.
I don't mind a live well. Do you mind a live well,
I
Ryan?
actually love the live well.
I'm glad, because I won't do them.
Well, at least you have
Every
a...
I
time
love-
we get one in, I'm like, hey, there's a flow rack kit in the back. He's like, for what? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what you're doing on this stuff. There's like a thing with the stuff, and you got to plug it in and like 5200, and I can't do all that.
That flow ride kit, man,
Makes it easy.
I
it
know,
is-
but I still hate it.
to me, it is the most simplest thing in
It
the
is.
world. And it all makes sense, and it irritates me when it doesn't make sense to people.
I agree.
But some people cannot grasp the concept of the plumbing system in that.
Well, let me ask you this. When you started putting live wells in boats, back when you started, you had an intake pump to pump water in. You had an aerator pump to pump water in the live well and recirculate it. Did you have a pump that took the water out? Because I was buying years ago, single, the flow right switch that
Yeah.
you pull. You could buy those individually.
I know what I did. I went to Home Depot and bought a bunch of PVC. And jerry
think I
rigged
remember
something with
you
the,
doing that
with
on
the
a-
valves
Didn't you do something
so
with
that my recirc one would still pump it out.
on a YouTube? Didn't you
Yeah,
do a
but-
YouTube about it?
That live well tank took me probably 2 months and $3,000 to figure out. And that is, I'm dead serious when I say that. I probably made a bunch of videos over this stupid DIY.
Well, you
But I will say, back then, my biggest fear was putting a hole into something, thinking that the boat was just going to take on a bunch of water.
That
And I
doesn't
think
even
that's
bother me,
a
no.
fear for a lot of other people.
Yes.
Where they're like, well, if I put a hole in here and I run a tube to allow water in, isn't water just going to keep spilling in?
No.
And it's not. But people that don't know that.
Right.
So,
It took me a long time to get used to the way that the flow ride system works.
yeah.
And I'm still not, like, I couldn't do it from memory. Like, I would still need to, like, pull out the paper that it comes with or go back and watch a YouTube
Just to remember
video.
how the plumbing actually
Yeah,
ran
to
in.
remember where it all goes.
Right.
You know, I know to put the pump as low as you can. I know with intake and the secondary hose you got to run so that you can flip the valve back and forth. But yeah, I don't ever use live wells. I have no use for them in the manner that I fish. So when people come in and they're like, "Oh, I want a live well," and I'm like, I don't really want to do it. But we have a Ryan.
Yeah.
We have a red-headed leprechaun on the back.
He'll gladly put you a live well in.
Yeah, it's just
I don't mind it, though, because the flow rack
like 'em.
kit to me seems
It's as simple
it's
as you can
made
get.
it so much more simplified. You have
Dude,
one pump,
pump.
one valve,
Yeah.
and hoses that come with the kit. It's all quick connect stuff.
Yeah.
It is so simple to do as long as you can read the paperwork. And the paperwork defines it very well. I mean, it's not like
Yeah.
it's giving you a bunch of, just look at the picture.
Yeah, I
I mean, it's an easy
just don't like
DIY,
it.
should I say, too. I
It
mean, for
is.
somebody to do that. It's
Yeah.
very simple.
And there's enough videos out now to where if you've never done it before, you can follow along with anybody that's in our circle that uses the flow right kit
Oh,
on
yeah.
YouTube. And I just don't like doing it. I don't know. I just get grumpy every time I have to do anything with live
What
well.
do you
And
not
then
get
there's-
grumpy about?
Like, you stupid bass fisherman. If you'd actually eat the fish you catch, you wouldn't have to keep them alive. Just throw them on some ice.
But what do you not get grumpy about? Can you answer that one?
Mud motors.
I don't know. That
Well-
one kid came back with a mud motor, and you were a little grumpy.
Which one? The one that didn't work.
Yes.
Oh no, you're talking about the one that I got the Chinese one. I gotta build.
I'll tell you, I don't know much about these mud motors, eh?
You fixing to learn, eh?
But
Freaking Canadian.
I'm not Canadian.
Eh?
But the transom height seems to be an issue with a lot of them.
It's huge. It's everything.
So that's why I don't like them.
They're
I've
just
never
picky.
messed with them, so I can't
And they're
say.
hard to steer. I
They are.
would. There's no way I couldn't make a long run with one.
Don't you have to literally steer it, like
Oh
run
yeah,
with
I
it?
mean, well, a long tail you do on the short tails. I mean, that's why everybody likes the short tail because they're easy to drive. They're just like
More
running
like
an
an
outboard.
outboard. Right,
It's
okay.
just an air cooled outboard is all that it is. But you're right. The transom height makes a huge difference in the mud motor world. When you go long tail, the shorter the transom, the better. It makes it easier to handle. You actually pick up more speed. In the short tails, most of them you need a tall transom, and a lot of times people are building up their transom or putting hunt decks on the back of the boat so that they have an even taller transom to get it up out of the water.
I had to do that for a guy on, I think he had an Express
Yep.
hunt deck. Express, you know, the little, I don't even know what model or brand it is, or brand I say, but what model boat it was, but I know it was an Express. And I had to, I think it was 3 inches. Yeah, I think it was 3 inches we had to raise
Yeah.
because the motor was sitting too low into the water, and he said it was splashing back into the boat.
Yeah. So on the basically the bell housing part, the part that comes down that's got either a chain or a belt inside of it,
Yeah.
it has to be up above the water level while you're
Yeah,
running.
that's what his
and
was
you actually
hitting.
tilt it down to get the prop in the water.
That's so dumb.
I mean, go places you can go,
I got an outboard
what
that
you
I'll go
gonna-
right anywhere you'll go.
but you won't.
I bet I will.
But you won't. Water's optional where I go.
Okay, that's fine.
You gonna tear up your outboard
Sure.
once? They're getting expensive.
All right,
They
guys.
are.
This has been a pretty long episode.
Are you cutting me off?
Yes. We'll do another one.
Fine.
Frankie, tell everybody where they can find you, get in touch with you, see your work.
I'm on, well, I say I'm on all platforms, but I am not. I do have a YouTube, but I do not put a bunch of stuff on YouTube. But I am on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, Piedmont Custom Fab. Like I said, I'm in Monroe, Georgia. If you need anything done or want to see some of the work, just check out those platforms, and we can get you hooked up with whatever you need.
I think that's the end of this episode, guys. Thank
Is that
you
it?
for
Is that
watching.
it? Oh, you got to thank you to our.
Thank you to our wonderful sponsor, TBNation.net. Once
Yes.
again, if you need hatches, anything we pretty much talked about in this episode, aside from the mud motors at the moment, you can visit TBNation.net. We've got it on there. Most of our stuff. We're getting better with our shipping, getting things out a little bit faster.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This year's
has,
been crazy.
that has slowed down a little bit.
And we do greatly appreciate the support.
Absolutely.
And stay tuned for the next episode. We have a good lineup of guests coming.
Yes, we do. We got some very special people.
Some heavy
coming.
hitters coming. And we'll see you all in the next one.
Oh, and don't forget.
Oh, yeah. I did forget.
Don't forget. Don't ever forget your drain plug, Frankie.
I always have a drain plug.
Don't
If
forget
not
it.
One and two more. Always have a drain plug in the boat.
That's why we say don't forget your drain plug.